Hey everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over my strategy when aquascaping a tank. And you're probably wondering why there's three separate piles of rocks right here. Well, first of all, this pile of rock right here is one that I wouldn't aquascape my tank with. The reason being is because most of them are just round in shape and not very interesting at all. Even though there are some flatter pieces that people like to build shelves with, to me that doesn't look very natural, and I wouldn't do it myself personally. For me, in my tank, if I wanted a shelf, I would get a piece of rock that looked like a dead acro colony, or build one to look like it, and I'll show you that later on in my tank. Now this pile over here I would aquascape with, because they're different sizes, they're irregular in shape, and they're just interesting to look at, you know. Now this pile over here are smaller pieces, and that I would even consider almost rubble size. I would not use this to aquascape at all. I would use them sparingly to fill in some gaps to make the separate pieces of rocks look like they were bigger, as one bigger piece. So, but I wouldn't use like a piece of rock like this to connect like a rock like this, because they're not very similar in look. But I would use it on a rock like this. So I'm not gonna do any aquascaping right now on the video, because to me that's a whole process, and this video would end up being about an hour long, and even then I'll probably have to change it up a few more times just to be completely happy with it. But we're gonna go ahead and look, go back inside and look at my display tank, and I'll tell you what I was thinking when I put that one together. Alright, see you in a bit. Okay, so before we look and see how the tank currently sits today, this was what I came up with before I started adding a bunch of coral frags. All the rocks that you see here, plus some of the ones that you saw outside, were all cherry picked throughout the years, and I just decided to use the best ones. If you notice that I didn't build up too much height, because I wanted to allow room for corals to grow upwards, since this is going to be an SPS dominant tank. So now we're going to go and look and see how the tank currently sits today. Okay, so now we're back inside looking at my display tank, and I can go over my thought process when putting this aquascape together. Now the flat shelving pieces that I was talking about, looking like dead acro colonies, like ancient dead acro colonies, are right here. See, when using them, it just makes it look natural. Now, I know some people like putting random rocks on the sand bed to fill in some negative space, and you can see I did that right here. But I did it with an interesting looking rock that looks like its own mini aquascape. A lot of people will put just like leftover random round rock on the sand bed just because they don't know what to do with it. Now when you look at that, it just looks like it flows with the rest of the aquascape and not just a random rock on the sand bed. Now when I was talking about those smaller pieces that you can use to fill in some gaps, or build, maybe even use to build like little bridges, you really can't see any in this tank, because I've made sure to use rocks that were similar to what I was connecting with. Like right here, this little bridge, which is a couple small pieces that look pretty similar to what I was connecting to. And also right under that green acro colony. It's another smaller piece that I use to fill in a gap. Now this Tonga branch structure right here was held together with hydraulic cement. So this tank is 6 feet long and 2 feet front to back. So on a tank this size, I wouldn't aquascape the whole tank with rocks this size or smaller. I would make sure to get a few bigger pieces, like this piece right here. It's just one big piece. And then there's another bigger piece right here. The Tonga structure I'll consider as one piece as well, since I cemented most of it together. And that piece is a pretty big piece. And this one I actually put together with hydraulic cement to make it look like a ancient acro colony. It's right down the middle. I put 2 pieces together, and that's connected with hydraulic cement as well. So if you had any other tips that you want to leave people about aquascaping down in the comment section, or if you had any questions about my system and how I aquascape and stuff like that, just let me know in the comment section. Alright, I'll see you guys all next time.